welcome to Robot Fight Club. My name is Lucas. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my newest ANTWEIGHT combat robot, which I have built for the upcoming 2022 Minnesota Massacre event, which is happening in White Bear Lake, Minnesota on, I believe, Saturday, May 21st. So that's coming up really soon now, and I've been working hard on the robot to get it ready. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so there's a lot going on with this robot, so I've taken off the top plate and the weapon in order to show you guys the actual drive base of the robot, which is my favorite part of it. So if you haven't noticed already, this is not driven by wheels. This on either side is a shuffling mechanism, which works by using cams to make these feet move in unison to produce a continuous drive. So each side has 4 feet and 4 different crank sizes, and this is powered by a 16mm 800 RPM brushed gear motor that goes through there and drives the center gear, if you can see that right there. And then that center gear drives these 2 gears, which drive the shuffling mechanism itself via the crank assembly on either side. So this is all 3D printed, and there are bearings inside of these feet here, and as you can see, they're kind of loose, and it's kind of hard to explain, so I'll just power it up here for you guys to show up close. But this robot runs off of a 3S LiPo, and the gear motors are 12 volt. So this plugs in here, and then I have a power link which goes right here. Let me turn on my transmitter. Alright, so this is, I'm going to try to give you guys a few views of this working. So basically, each one, it's like 4 little feet, and they're all doing this. So they each have their own little part of the rotation where they're the ones coming in contact with the ground and driving the robot forward. So they're capable of going pretty fast, as you can see. So that is the drive, how that works. And this system, if you don't know about the rules, is this allows my robot to weigh 1.5 pounds as opposed to just weighing 1 pound like all the other wheeled robots. So that's a big advantage right there. And also, this system allows the robot to be fairly quick and have good traction and pushing power, as opposed to like a lot of other mechanisms that I've done in the past, like on Pronghorn, which has slow speed and low pushing power, but this still gets the same weight bonus. So this is a more effective, although I don't think quite as cool, but it's definitely a more effective shuffling drive system. The frame is made out of, we have some Lexan here, which is, I believe, 1/4 inch thick, and that is the outside piece of the frame right here. This is a Nylon X, or these two are Nylon X frame pieces that hold the motors, and the drive cranks go into them, so this kind of holds it this way. And then on the outside, holding in the shuffling pods, because all I have to do is to pull this entire assembly out is take out these 4 screws. I have a crank cover, which is made out of TPU, so very durable, and that kind of wraps around the outside of the frame a little bit, and it'll hopefully be able to take some hits. The bottom is 1.6mm aluminum, I believe, which I had laser cut, and drive is the motors I already talked about, and these 2 cheap ESCs. I got these from AliExpress. They're like $3 a piece, and that drives the drive. And then we got the receiver right here, place to plug in the battery, and that is pretty much it as far as the drive base. So now is the other cool part of this robot. It is actually a modular weapon system, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'm going to set this aside and show you guys the weapons, which are the namesake weapon kind of is the overhead spinner, hence the name Overdraft. So this is a asymmetrical. This is AR500, 3mm AR500 on a brushless motor, Carnegie brushless motor, and that has a good amount of power in it. And then it also actuates and can come down on top of the opponent to hopefully hit them where they have the weakest armor. The arm is aluminum, and then as you can see right here, this is TPU, and that allows the arm to be shock mounted. So this is going to transfer a lot of shock into the robot when it hits. So I kind of wanted to minimize that as much as I could. And I also have a TPU arm that drives from the servo to the actual weapon arm, which reduces shock on the servo as well. This piece right here is made out of Nylon X, 3D printed. And as you can see, coming out the bottom, I have the brushless ESC and the plug for the servo. So pretty simple. That just goes right on top of the robot, bolts down. It serves as the top plate as well. This little piece allows me to self-right. And yeah, that is the overhead weapon, which is pretty cool. And I'll probably end up using this for the vast majority of fights. And hopefully being able to do some damage to the top of the robots that way. The other weapon I have is this lifter, which is used in a specific situation where I have to run my large anti-horizontal plow. This is spring steel, so it's very durable, but it's pretty heavy as well. So I can't put this on when I have the overhead weapon on, because I only have like an ounce left over. If I put the overhead weapon on, there's only an ounce, and this is like 3 ounces or so. So I wouldn't have enough weight to run this, so I had to make a different weapon, and I kind of had this idea for a while to make a lifter. And this is the exact same base plate design, everything, same print, Nylon X, and same servo. This is, well, I have the Hobby King rip-off servo of this Hexatronic servo on the overhead weapon. This one has a bit more torque, so I went for it for the lifter. But they are the exact same dimensions and pretty much the same specs. So that uses the exact same system to drive this lifter. The arm is actually, don't tell anyone, but it's made out of pine, which I saturated in super glue to give it some strength. I was going to 3D print one off, but I ended up just kind of wanting to do it by hand, so that's what I did. So to kind of give you an idea, this is going to be up when I'm fighting a horizontal, and the only time I'd lower it is if their weapon goes down and I'm able to lower this without it getting hit. So this is going to be out of the way for probably most of the fight, and I'm not worried about it getting damaged because I'm not going to lower it when their weapon's still active. So that's why I felt okay just making it out of wood. We'll see. It's probably a really bad idea, but who knows. But yeah, same system. Got a little metal, steel, little catch piece here to get under them. And we got the servo lead. This is a buck converter, which converts the 11.4 volts from the 3S LiPo, which would burn up the servo because it's too high voltage. That drops it down to 6.5 volts, which the servo is good to run at. So that's going to give me a lot more reliability than just plugging the entire thing into the receiver, because that can cause, if you're really drawing a lot of current out of the servo, that can cause the receiver to reset, which will make your robot not work, and then you lose the fight. So that's just to ensure that I have the maximum amount of power out of the servo that I can get. And as you can see, both of these weapons both of these weapons have, both of these go into the same plug, which is right here. So that just plugs in, and then you plug in the control leads to the receiver, and it's good to go. So these can be really quickly replaced and swapped off. So the system is pretty modular, and I think it should do fairly well. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm going to go ahead and do some testing. So I haven't done like a full 2-minute test yet. I've just kind of gotten everything ready. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to do a full drive test with the lifter on in my arena, and then I'll take it to my test box and show you guys the spinning weapon and test that out for a little bit and just make sure everything's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this on along with the plow to make sure everything's good, and then I will head out to the arena and show you guys the drive test. Alright, so here is the bot with the lifter installed and attached. I also got the shield on, so this is what the bot will look like if I'm going to be fighting a horizontal spinner. Yeah, so I'm going to time a 2-minute test to show you guys the drive and lifter, and after that 2-minute test I'm going to swap out the weapon and show you guys in my test box the spinning weapon. And for targets, I have my fairy weight, which is 300 grams Death Wish, and then I have my 1 pound Joyous Rat for targets for the flipper. I'm going to power this on. Just have to put in the power link. Alright, let me get my timer. Alright, and we have a 2-minute fight going now. Oh! Oh, well, that was like 2.5 minutes. I got a little bit carried away, but yeah. So the lifter seems to be working pretty well. I mean, obviously it's not as good as a lot of like dedicated lifter guns, but that's okay. I'm just looking for a weapon to be able to show a little bit of control and aggression if I'm fighting with horizontal space. So primarily, I'd keep the weapon up like that, and I'd go at them to try to stop their weapon, slow them down, and then I would drop the lifter and flip them over. So, yeah, there is the lifter weapon, and I hope that was a good demonstration of the drive. Now I'm going to swap them out and test out the spinner. Alright, so here is the overhead spinner. Got it on, and I'm going to put it in my test box and try to break some stuff. So let me arm it. Alright, here we go. That's one thing I've noticed is the blade is very sharp and it sometimes gets stuck in things, but I don't think that'll be as big of an issue in the actual event. So some good damage so far. This is just PLA. I think it's at 50% though, and decently thick, so that could potentially do some real damage to some competitors. Get it going again. Got a little, this is 100% infill PLA right here. Alright, so that is the overhead spinner attachment. Alright, so that does it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. My first fight of the event with Overdraft will be against Crixus, which is a finger tech beater bar drum spinner, 2-wheel drive bot, and it's pretty tough. I think it's ranked in the top 10 in the Midwest, so I'm definitely preparing for that fight, and I'm just looking forward to the event in general. I'm going to do as best that I can with this bot, and also bringing Death Wish, which I've done a lot of upgrades on. I might make a video on that, but yeah, it's basically coming up in a little bit, so I'm just preparing for that, and hope to see some of you guys at that event in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. Until then, I will see you guys later.